Hello everyone, this is my tutorial on how to play Infinity Fighters. Infinity Fighters is a fighting card game, meaning that it's basically just a TCG that is inspired on fighting games. First, we need to set up our 60 cards deck. Then, we are going to place our EX deck, which contains up to 10 cards. And finally, we place our leader character card and then our support character card. Now the leader, not only is going to give us special effects, he's also going to give us a certain amount of HP. This one is going to give us 40, so do this. And he's going to give us a combo limit of 3, meaning that basically if we do a combo we can only play 3 cards. Okay, now that we have all set up, let's draw our initial hand. For the first hand we just draw 6 cards, and as you can see, some cards have different colors. Some are blue, others are green, some are red, and some don't particularly have any color at all. The red cards are strikes, the greens are grabs, the blues are counters, and the colorless are mind cards. And these cards are just stage cards, which I'm going to speak about them later. Strike cards are pretty straightforward. They have a speed value, for this one is 1, strike value, for this one is 3, and a reach value, in this case a reach of 1. They also have combo priorities, I would say, located on the top right of the card. This one is a starter, meaning that it can only be used in the start of a combo as my first card, and cannot be used during the combo. Some cards are linkers, meaning that they can be used during the start of the combo, between a combo, or as an ender for the combo. And some are only enders, meaning that they can only be used in the end of the combo. Grabs are slightly slower than strikes. They have 0.5 more speed in general, but much like strikes, they also have a certain, damage value and reach value, and they have like the combo, which pretty much the same. But there's one exception, and the exception is pretty much just how they react to counters. Now counters don't have speed, but they can automatically win against any kind of strikes. They do have, however, a reach value, which essentially means at which distance this card can deal damage to the opponent or start a combo, basically. Now grabs, on the other hand, cannot lose to counters. They actually beat counters, so they are quite valuable in the game, despite being a little bit slower. Now mind cards, they don't have damage, they don't have a reach value, and they don't have speed. However, they do have pretty good effects. This one, for example, allows me to heal 2 life points or health points, and after I use them, I can just place it on my energy pool. Energy in this game is what we use to play our better cards, which are located on our EX deck. This one, for example, to use it, I have to discard 2 energy cards. So once I get enough energy, I can use my best cards from the EX deck. Stage cards, they can just be played during the main phase They are quite unique because of that. They are pretty much the only card where you can just straight up play the card face down or face up. They're the only cards where you can play face up during the main phase, and they will give you a continuous effect that is going to give you like a benefit. But be aware that most stage cards are going to give the same benefit to your opponent as well. This one, for example, pretty much just allows me to play one more energy during my main phase. Now, in this game, any card can be used as your energy. So I'm just going to go ahead and play these two cards as energy, right? So now I have enough energy to use that card if I ever draw it, right? And remember, usually you can only play one, but my stage allows me to play a second one, right? Now, let's say, how do we fight in this game, right? If it's a fighting game, how do you hit your opponent, let's say, right? And it's quite simple actually. You basically just set a card face down and we just move to the combat phase, right? And let's suppose that our opponent plays this random card, whatever it is. So at the start of the combat phase, we both reveal our set cards, and first things off, we have to remember that this game does have a distance mechanic. We start at distance 2. Now, however, my move has a special effect. When it's used, it allows me to advance 1 space. So now distance is only 1. Basically means that, you know, the distance between me and the opponent is basically just 1 meter or 1 foot or whatever measure you want to use. Now, my card is faster than that of my opponent by quite a mile, I would say. It does, however, has a special effect which negates my effect to move 1 step closer. So my attack is just going to miss, and pretty much so is his going to miss. And pretty much for this combat, nothing is really going to happen. Now we do move to the end phase, and we start our next turn. Now, this game, unlike many other TCGs, instead of just drawing 1 card from the top of your deck, you draw until you have 6. And after you're done doing this, you just draw a random card from your EX deck. Now, those cards that we place here on the last turn are going to be quite useful for now. And let's say that this guy here plays 2 random cards and sets down this random card, whatever it may be, right? Okay. So let us reveal the cards, moving on to the combat phase. I'm currently escaping the zoning phase for now because this is something that I'm going to explain later. Okay, this is quite interesting actually. So first I'm going to pay for my card. I have to discard 2 energy cards, and both our effects will pretty much just advance 1 space. And this is interesting. So both our attacks have the same speed value, which means that our attacks are going to clash. Or crash, sorry. English is difficult. So he is going to deal 6 damage to me, and he is going to take, let's see, 8, right? Now, my attack has a knock-up effect in the, as you can see on the top right on the yellow box, and his has a knockdown. Now, basically what that's going to mean is that we are both going to get knocked down. No. Knockdown is an effect or a special status that makes it so that we cannot move on the zoning phase, and both our attacks have double the speed. Now, since the move in this game, the move with the less speed wins, knockdown is quite powerful to win combat in this game. Now let's try using a block on this turn. And let's just say that this guy sets 2 random cards again, and he plays this card, right? Okay, so as I said before, his grab is going to beat my my counter, right? However, I can still win this combat. His card is has a type damage of has a mid type damage, as you can see on the top right, and if I discard a mid damage type as well, which this card has, I can play a card that would win the combat, which in that case I believe it would be something like this. Okay, so now my card has less speed than his, meaning that I am going to win this combat. So I'm going to go along and do a little combo here. I'm just going to, I don't know, play these cards, and that's a combo, right? So now he's going to take 2, 4, 4 again. That would be 10 damage. And Sweep does have a knockdown as well, so he is going to stay knocked down, and I am going to come back out of my knockdown effect. Now, because Crazy Kick won the combat on this turn, it's going to go to the energy pool. This is optional, but it's always, pretty much always a good idea to put your combat winning card on the energy pool. Now we move on to the end phase. Ugh. English is difficult. This card gets discarded. Now let's talk about the zoning phase a little bit, right? So basically, the zoning phase is quite basically what you would consider your a turn on a more traditional TCG. Basically, it means that on my turn I can move 1 space if I want to. So I'm going to move to distance 2 for this one. If a player is knocked down, his distance, his zoning phase is basically skipped. So, which is basically what is happening with poor little Uni right here. To determine who goes first, who has the first zoning phase, you just let's say you just determine by luck, right? Let's say whoever gets the best number, or you can do some junkie poll or whatever you want to. But if your character is knocked down, the zoning phase is just skipped for that player, basically. Now let's say that I'm just going to play this card, and Uni is going to play this, right? Let's say, yeah, that's a good card for him. Okay, so my card is going to advance one space, and it's going to beat his little counter. And again, if my opponent had played something like this, for example, it would have a speed 4, right? It would be like double speed, right? Because it's, you know, as I said, the knockdown. But for this combat, it's just I'm just going to win, and I'm just like play like a random combo, whatever. Oh, just stop there, I suppose. Now there are other status in this game. There is the stunned status. Stunned basically means that your whole, I mean, because like knockdown is like, oh, your zoning phase is skipped and your character is slowed down. Now stunned is even worse because basically your whole turn is skipped. You just get to draw cards and maybe place like an energy if you want to. So basically, if you get stunned, your opponent is just going to do a free combo on you, as bad as that sounds. And poison just means that at the end phase, you take 2 damage until you knock down your opponent. Knock down or stun. Let's see if there's something else that I can explain. Let's see. I think I pretty much covered everything. Types of moves, combos, combo limit. Combo limit is pretty self-explanatory. It's like you can only play 3 cards. So if I was to do more things in this combo, if I wanted to, I could just maybe do this, and then I have to stop, right? Because I played 3 cards, right? Pretty self-explanatory. The linkers start and they're already explained. Stage cards, sure. Yeah, I think that's it pretty much. Oh yeah, that's something I can explain. So super cards, in particular, they're a little bit different than the EX. The EX pretty much just make you discard 2 energies and send them to your discard pile, while the supers, they make you tap your energy cards. So this card, for example, the Nightfire Tiger Kick, would tap my 4 energy cards, and basically what that means is they get tapped, they cannot be used, and at the beginning of my zoning phase, I should untap 1 energy, and basically I just do this during every turn. I just go to my zoning phase, I choose if I want to move or not, if it's my zoning phase. If it's the opponent's zoning phase, it doesn't really matter, and then you just untap 1 card. So supers are quite interesting in this game for that reason. They are quite expensive. They usually use a lot of energy. This one uses 8, which is quite a lot. But after you use them, you just slowly regain the energy that you used. You can only have a maximum of 10 energy cards. So after you get like 10, that's your limit, right? And I should also explain the continuous cards. Continuous cards are like after you use them, like let's say for example this one, the Flame Dash. I use them and I can move 1 space, so I can go move 1 space basically means that I can go either closer or farther from my opponent. And after I use this card, it goes to the continuous card zone. Now, if I were to play another continuous card, let's say another Flame Dash, like this one. By rule, you can only control one continuous card, so I would have to either discard the new one or the old one if we were to pretend that this was a different card, right? Because this deck only has this continuous. So yeah. Oh yeah, I think I should also explain knockups and wall bounces. Fortunately, we have a few of them. Yeah, this is a knockup. Okay. So, oh, actually, this one. Wall bounces are also when a card is a wall bouncer, it says on the top right on the yellow box. It's one of the special combo properties in this game. And basically what the wall bounce means is the next hit is going to end the combo, and it's also going to knock down my opponent. Now, knockdowns are quite special because in this game, counters cannot be used during combos. Like, they only deal damage if your opponent, if you play them and your opponent plays like a strike or a projectile. Projectiles are basically just special strikes. If one of your opponent's red or orange cards hit your counter, right? And in this case, this card would hit for 6 damage. Now, if you use a wall bounce, and only if you use a wall bounce, you can actually combo into your counter. And that is the only way you can actually combo with a counter in this game. And then your opponent gets knocked down and he gets slower, he can't move on his zoning phase. It's pretty neat little mechanic in this game. Now, knockups, let me get a few more cards that do knockups. Oh, this one is a knockup. Cool. Okay, so a knockup basically means that quite the opposite from the counter. It's like you use this, and then if you don't play a card, like if you play a card, you basically just end your combo. If you don't play your card, your opponent gets knocked down. And if you play a knockup into another knockup, like this one, you basically just reset the knockup. So again, if you play a card, you just end the combo. If you play a card with Ender, or if you don't play a card at all, your opponent gets knocked down. And that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, I did mention if you play like a knockup into a knockdown, your opponent gets knocked down, like nothing changed. If you play, I don't have a stun here, but if you play a stun, you would get stunned instead, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think I pretty much covered everything for this game. If you have any questions, you can just read the rulebook, which I added in the Tabletop Simulator workshop mod for this game. I also have a Google Docs that everyone can access. I constantly update it, so it's always like, you know, right. And this is pretty much it. I would love to see if anyone has like any kind of questions. If they're, I would love to make a questions and answers eventually, and maybe even put in my rulebook. If you got, if you got any questions, just hit me up on my Discord or my YouTube channel or whatever you want to. And I'd love to see you guys play my game and give me feedback if you think that, I don't know, if some cards are too strong or some characters get like too many strong cards. Oh yeah, I did forgot to mention one thing, just one thing that I forgot to mention. Let's pick another card. This one. Okay. So. Characters in this game have signature cards that only they can use. So, for example, to use Sony, you need to have Able as one of the 2 characters for your deck. If you don't have Able, you cannot play Sony, or at least not this Sony. Same thing for Kane. This is Kane. This is a Kane card, as it says on the title of the card and on the portrait. So you can only play Fire Knee Dive if you're playing Kane. If you're not, then you cannot play this card. Now there are generic cards such as this one, which any player can use, any character can use on their deck. And I think that's pretty much it for this game. Again, hit me up if you have any questions, if you have any suggestions. I love to see your feedback. So that's it for now. Bye bye.